You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we're getting ready to start. Ah, okay. Very good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's, I guess we're bi-monthly now, this bi-monthly edition of Telescope Talk. My name is Tony Darnell. I'm from deepastronomy.space. And we... Okay. Hang on. I did the cardinal sin here. Let me get... Hello, everybody. There. Sorry about that. I did a cardinal sin of leaving the hangout URL open. Okay, so anyway, today we're going to be talking about something I hope that's going to help you guys out in your search for getting started in amateur astronomy. In particular, we're going to be talking about the 5 best telescopes, in our opinion, that you can buy for under $500. We've got a wide gambit of types to talk about, and we all sent our suggestions to each other. We looked them over, and I compiled a list we're going to go over today. Now, I have most of them, well, I have all of them that we're going to talk about in the description box with links. I hope all the links work. I had to go and shorten them all so that they would fit in the description box without looking super hairy and disgusting. So they are on there for your convenience. You can click on them and take a look at our different recommendations. I am streaming like I always do on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch, and I hope you guys will leave your comments and questions to us over all of those different platforms. I have this thing here, which doesn't have anything on it right now, for Twitter, to follow along on the hashtag TeleTalk, T-E-L-E Talk. If you use that hashtag, I will see it on my little control panel here, and I'll make it visible on this shot if anybody has anything to tweet. So we hope you'll tweet if you're watching on Periscope, or if you're watching, or if you have Twitter, your tweet tag open. We hope you'll use it. Let us know what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and get going. Let me bring up my... Oh, and I also have Discord. Discord is right there at the bottom. Adam has already used it today, and you can see it there at the bottom of the screen. So we're also using Discord on the Deep Astronomy server. So we're also looking at that. So lots of ways to comment with us. So let's get started. Hey guys, how you doing? How's everything going over in the Europe/UK area of the world?
Everything's fine. Weather's bad, but rest is good.
Is it bad? Is it cloudy?
Yeah, cloudy and rainy.
How about in the UK, guys?
Same.
Okay, good. So I'm not taking you away from any observing tonight. We're spanning the globe in our time differences right now. But let me just tell you who we've got going here in the upper left corner of the little Brady Bunch screen is Alexander Reinders. He's part of the Rat Star Party. He's from Germany. He's also an amateur astronomer and space fan who has been watching our hangouts, and we invited him on because he knows a lot. So welcome, Alex. It's good to have you here. In the upper right is John Suffill. He's a UK amateur astronomer who has all of these telescopes, and he shares his wisdom, knowledge, and opinions with us. He's also always perpetually in the dark. I mean, I don't know, something about lighting. I guess maybe it's because you're an amateur astronomer, right, John? You just don't like anything. You just want to sit in the dark. Is that right?
In a meter.
All right. Also down and joining us at the bottom is Adam Synergy Smith. He is part of, but does not own, the Unseen podcast. He takes part in that, so we invite you to listen to that podcast as well. Hi, Adam. Welcome.
Hey, Tony. Hey, everyone.
Yay. So let's go ahead and get started. I am anxious to get all of these telescopes talked about so that people can, I don't know, it's coming up on the time of the year when people may be thinking about buying their telescopes. And I don't know, you guys, let's say people are planning on buying a gift for their loved ones for Christmas and they want to buy them a telescope. And tell me if you guys disagree, but I always think that these people, that if you're buying your very first scope, especially if you're buying one for someone else and you yourself don't know much about telescopes, don't spend a lot of money. Don't spend any more than $500 or the equivalent in euro and pounds, because, you know, but don't just buy anything either. So that's what we're going to here to help you sort of sort out. But you don't really want to go like with both feet in, do you guys? For your first telescope?
My first telescope was, I think, in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
First telescope was from somewhere in the warehouse, there was no internet.
How much did you spend on
It
your
just,
first scope? It wasn't very much, was
uh,
it?
it was, let me
Oh, it
guess,
was. So
700
there goes that
marks.
advice.
It was 700 marks, I think. It was, 700 euros equivalent to today.
Wow. Okay. So you spent quite a bit on your first telescope. I didn't. I spent about 200 on mine, and I borrowed a lot of scopes too. Was lucky enough to have access to a planetarium that had telescopes, so I was able to borrow a lot of those. What about you guys, John and Adam? Did you guys spend a lot of money on your first scope?
Well, the first one I bought was the 200mm Newtonian. About £420.
Ah, okay. That's That's about what we're looking at here. Adam?
Yeah, you need to spend a couple of $100
200mm Newtonian.
really to get a decent telescope, at least.
£420.
More like double that, to be honest.
Okay, that's about what we're looking at here. Adam?
You can go out and buy you need to spend a telescope for $3,000-$4,000. Absolutely would not encourage anyone to do that if it's the first telescope they've ever bought, because you just don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's good, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. And Cesar, I'm not sure how to pronounce it on YouTube, is already going, what can I see with a $500 telescope? Well, that's what we're going to talk about now. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've broken down the list of telescopes that we're going to talk about into several kinds. We've got we've got Dobsonians, which are Newtonians mounted on an alt-azimuth mount, and we've got Maksutov-Cassegrains in our mix, and we've got a couple of Newtonian telescopes in our mix, as well as a couple of refractors. So we've got the whole gamut here, and I want to start with a. Let me pull up this. This is my screen share of my my notes. So that's the document that I had written up. And by the way, all of these that we're going to be talking about, I posted in the description box. So please click on these links if you'd like, and let us know if they work, or just, if they don't work. Let us know if they don't work. That's what I really want to know. So the first up is a telescope by a manufacturer called Skywatcher, and this is a really good brand. I think the company may be located in the EU, because I've noticed a lot of the availability of their products is more available in Europe than here in the United States. But you can get them in the United States. Here's a list of their Skywatcher USA website listing an 8-inch Dobsonian, and this one is $475, and you can get this in the UK. It's got an 8-inch mirror, which is a really good size for seeing very faint things. It comes with a 2-inch focuser, which I really like. Now, remember when we talked about eyepieces, we said that there's two kinds. There's a 2-inch eyepiece and there's 1.25-inch eyepieces. 2 inches are great because they're wider, they let more light through, and you can buy the really expensive eyepieces if you want. So, but this comes with a 2-inch focuser with an 1.25-inch adapter. So if you get smaller eyepieces, then you can put them in. In fact, it comes with 2 of the smaller eyepieces, 1.25 inch. So you're going to need that adapter. It comes with a 25mm Plössl and a 10mm Plössl. The 25mm will be good for wider field viewing, lower magnification, and the 10mm will be if you want to zoom in to maybe look at something with a little more magnification. These telescopes, this particular telescope, is not by nature high magnification, because it is only an f6, which means that it's got a very short focal length, which means wide field of view. So this is really well suited for things like the Orion Nebula, the Crab Nebula, the Whirlpool Galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. Really good things that you can see with this, and with the 25mm eyepiece, I think, in there. What do you guys think? Any comments on the scope?
It's very good. With it being collapsible, of course.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. To talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's easier to transport in your car, for example. And being an 8-inch, it's just about at the limit for portability. I've got the F5 version of this, and it is a bloody good scope. And yeah, one mistake that people do though, it comes with a 2-inch extension tube and a 1 1/4-inch extension tube. They make the mistake of putting them both together. If you do that, you will never get focus. So use one or use the other. But it's a very good telescope.
Say that again. What was the mistake people made? I was looking at Facebook.
Well, with it, you get a 2-inch extension for 2-inch eyepieces and a 1 1/4-inch extension. And they make the mistake, or a lot of people make the mistake, of putting both of them together into the telescope. And when you do that, you will not get focus.
An extension?
Yeah, well, you get the two extensions. You get the 2-inch extension, and you get 1 1/4-inch extension.
Oh, you mean so the adapter for, well, it's a standard 2-inch focuser, which means you can just put in a 2-inch eyepiece straight away. But to use the 1 1/4, you got to put in the adapter. No,
you get the 2-inch adapter extension tube. You put that onto the telescope itself.
Oh, okay.
And if you're using 1 1/4-inch, you put the 1 1/4-inch adapter or extension into that.
I see. Well, one unique feature of this particular one that isn't going to be true of any of the other scopes we show you today is this one collapses. This little end tube here slides down and makes for a shorter overall optical assembly, so you can fit this in your car better. It'll fit into a smaller car a lot better. So this does not have a clock drive, so you're going to have to manually point and shoot this thing. You're going to have to track it yourself. It does have a finder scope on it, but as we talked about last time when we talked about accessories, some of these finder scopes are sort of hit and miss. This one's an 8x50, which means that it's an 8 power with a 50mm objective, and there it is up there.
It looks like it's a 90 degree as well.
And it does have it is 90 degrees. It's got a right angle viewfinder on it, so it makes for easy viewing. So this one is our first look with Skywatcher USA. Here's the same one using Agena Astro. This was Adam. You sent me this. So is this a UK place where you can go?
No.
No?
It's US.
It's US too. Okay.
It's US.
All right. Well, we'll have to find a UK Skywatcher one. First Light Optics, though, that is UK, because this one's given in pounds. So I put this one here maybe because I couldn't find the European analog to this, but this one came really close, and it's really nice. This is not collapsible, but it's got a 25 centimeter objective, which is a little bit more than 8 inches. And it's got a 2-inch focuser, just like the other one, and it's got 9x50. It's got a slightly more powerful finder scope. But if you're in the UK, and Alex, if you're in Germany, you can get this too, right?
Yes.
Right. So EU.
It's imported by Telescope Express. The Skywatcher is a Chinese brand from Sinta, and Telescope Express import them to Europe in huge amounts.
Yeah.
What do you think of them, Alex?
Our own.
The 10-inch is a very good deal for that price.
What do you think, Adam? Did you want to say something?
I was going to say that Sintar own Skywatcher and Celestron, which are another main brand of telescope.
Okay. So
yeah, they're Chinese, but they're not cheap, tacky Chinese, rubbish. They're not rubbish at all. They're good telescopes.
Right, I've heard of. Yeah, I've
they improved in 10 years. They improved very much.
Yep. And so I don't know. The thing about Dobsonians, guys, is to remember is that look at the scope. I mean, you know how to use it. I mean, it's easy. There's no learning curve here. It's got a handle. You know where to grab it to carry it. It's got another handle here, and you just grab it and you move it and you take it outside. How much does this thing weigh? I don't think it's, well, maybe it says in specs. Let's look. Nope, there's no specs. I don't know. This thing might weigh 40 pounds, something like that. So this is not going to be super heavy, and it's not collapsible like this one. This one is collapsible and lets you move the tube down to make it smaller, but that makes it a little more complicated to use too. And there's also more things that can go wrong. Alignment, collimation mirrors and things like that can come out of alignment easier in a telescope like that. So this is a nice scope for 429 pounds. And if you got this one for $475 in the U.S., that's a great Dobsonian telescope. I have a runner-up for Dobsonians at the end of this. Okay, so the next telescope we want to talk a little bit about is Maksutov-Cassegrain telescopes. Who wants to tell everybody what that is? I can do it, but I thought I'm doing all the talking, so I thought maybe you guys can maybe do something. What do you guys think?
It's a reflector. It's a reflector telescope, a Russian style, and the secondary mirror is vapored on the frontal lens of the scope.
Yeah, it's called a catadioptric telescope, which means that it uses both lenses and mirrors. And as Alex said, the lens out front is a corrector plate that has the secondary mirror actually painted on the back side of it. And painted isn't the right word, but you get
vaporized.
You get the idea, right? It's vaporized. Yeah. And the reason for the corrector plate is that it corrects for the spherical mirror, which is in the back. I believe it's got a spherical mirror at the back. And so a sphere will not focus to a point like a parabola will. And so you need to correct for that, and that's what the corrector plate does. It makes for a more expensive, slightly more complicated telescope, but these things are going down in price. I mean, this one that Alex sent, this one's €385.
Yeah.
And this is a go-to telescope, folks. You go outside, you set it up, you level it, you tell it where you are. I think you tell it where you are. Does it have a GPS?
I think so.
What even has a GPS?
You can buy it for, I think, 100 euros or something like that. Additionally to the steering and connected to it. It's a GPS module.
So you can get that as it is. And this one, what I like about it is it comes with the Barlow, which is a thing that doubles your magnification if you need it to look at the planets. Comes with 2 eyepieces. It doesn't say, though, if they are Plossels or not. I imagine they are.
I don't think so.
If it's Skywatch, it'll be the standard 10 and 25mm Plossels.
They are Plossels. Okay, good. Plossels are a very good design of eyepieces. So yeah, they're 10mm and 25mm, and there's a 6x30 finder scope on it right here. But as most of you are probably going to like, it's got this hand paddle in here for you. It's got how many? Usually they tell you how many objects it has, like 4,000 or 42,900 plus objects, including a complete Messier catalog, NGC, IC, and SAO catalogs.
How is it powered?
It has, I think it's 12 volt. It's got a 12 volt power supply, so connecting to a battery is not so bad. You can also do double A's, although I imagine you would drain those pretty quick.
Yeah, you do.
I wouldn't even attempt that.
Yeah, use one of these power tanks or an extension lead from the house.
Right. Yeah. That's the best way, because you don't want to be in the middle of observing something and have it die on you and everything else. So you have to reboot and all that stuff. So yeah, so this is a nice little telescope. Now, I tried to find a U.S. counterpart, and the closest I came was this one from telescopes.com, and it was $650. So that's out of our little price range. But it had the same controller as the one that Alex sent, and it had the same basic design, but it was a lot more money. And so I don't know.
So buy it here.
So buy it in Germany. That's right. It's probably some kind of tariff thing. I don't know. So I went looking around and I found this one. This one looked really good to me. It's only $420. And
I like the finder of it.
What's that?
The red dot finder. I like it very much.
Yeah, it's got a red dot finder.
So we'll use it also on your next telescope.
Yeah.
To improve.
And it does not have, but it is not go-to, which means that you can't point and.
I think that's Wi-Fi something, a Wi-Fi module.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me clarify. You're right. I keep doing that. It is go-to, but it doesn't have a control panel, hand pad. You've got to do it through your phone, and you use a Sky Portal app, and then you can control your telescope with that. Have you guys ever used one of those apps?
Not really, no.
I haven't either. And another downside is it comes with Kellner eyepieces, not Plossels.
Okay.
So that's a minus. But and it comes with a mirror, but it does have a mirror star diagonal, which we talked before is better than the prism star diagonals that you can get.
But the long focal length is good for the Kellners, and the long focal length of these Maksutov-Cassegrains is good for observing planets or the moon. If you're watching from a city area or something, you can only see the brighter objects, and these are planets and the moon, and you can see many details with that long focal length.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. So
that's why I chose it.
Yeah, it's a good little telescope. It really is. I like this one better. I like the one that you sent, the SynScan, better.
And it's a flexible mount. You will use it later on your next scopes, for example. You could exchange it with a Newtonian or something.
You could take this off?
Yeah, okay. And you can use it on your camera, for example.
Okay.
For taking panorama pictures.
Oh, good idea. That's right. If you had like a DSLR with all of this heavy lenses on it and other things hanging on, that'd be good. Yeah. That'd be really good, actually, for like what do you call it? Time-lapse photography or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay. So those were the Maksutov category of telescopes that we came up with, and now let's talk about Newtonians. Newtonians are much simpler than Maksutovs. They don't have the corrector plate out front. They just have two mirrors, an open tube usually. And they're very simple, and as a result, they're generally relatively inexpensive. Here's one that I think also, Alex, you sent me, right?
Yes, I did.
You want to talk about this one a little bit?
Well, it's also a Newtonian that comes with a good equipment. You've got a red dot finder. It's got a short focal length, and it's for the darker areas. If you're on a countryside area living and want to observe something, or you want to go out and go into a darker area, you will be fine for observing galaxies or clusters, star clusters. And
yeah, and I'd tell you though, these Maksutovs I like a lot for the planets too. I mean, they really hold up well to Barlow's and higher magnifications. So I do like these.
I love the f4 optics, the focal ratio f4 for observing what the f5 is here. It is, for example, it's also good for watching deep sky objects.
Yeah, yeah.
And for any Newton, you shouldn't forget this one, the laser.
The what?
If you don't have a collimination laser, you won't be.
Oh, hang on. I'm not showing you. Let me bring you up here. Let me bring this out. Okay, go ahead.
You see that?
Yes. You blind. Now, what are you trying to blind us all?
Yeah. Die.
So that so that sits in the eyepiece holder, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and then you shine it down the optical axis, and that's how you align the telescope. How much was that?
It was €70 from Bader Planetarium. I use it for the Schmidt-Cassegrain, as it is behind me is a C11 with a red dot finder. You always use them later on your bigger scopes, as you can see here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And this one is good for Newtonians or for the Schmidt-Cassegrains to have a good collimination and a good picture and a sharp picture. If it's not colliminated, your Newton or your Schmidt-Cassegrain, you won't just be happy with it. You won't see any details of your objects. It will be just a flourished picture or something.
Yep. Okay, well, I'm seeing your questions, guys, on the live chat, and I'm going to get back to them. I just want to get through our little list here to make sure I get a chance to talk about each one first, and then I'm going to read off your questions and comments, and we'll talk about them. Let me go back to this little guy. Get rid of this. Oops, get rid of that. Get rid of that. All this button pushing is fun for me. Okay, so here's the U.S. one. It's $450. It's the same telescope as the they just call it the Orion Star Seeker. Well, that's what they call it there too. So yeah, it's the same telescope, $450 from telescopes.com. Okay, let's see, what is this one? Oh yes, so here's a couple of Newtonians that I threw in. This is one Alex sent that's only €130, little tiny guy. Designed to sit on top of the table.
It's an F4.
It's an F4. Now, what I like about these scopes, not only are they cheap. I mean, here's the exact same scope in the U.S., $100, $99.99. And I told you before, one of my favorite scopes is my Edmund Astroscan. It's a 4-inch telescope. I set it up on top of my car hood, and it's just really durable. I can beat it up. And this thing is real tiny. I mean, it'll just sit on your top of your table. You can put it on your car hood and just do some quick observing with it. And I love these scopes. And I bet you if you spend $100 on one of these things, that you'd use it probably more than if you spent $8,000 on a much more expensive I'm lying, of course. You probably won't. But, you'd probably be like looking at your little $100 telescope wistfully at how easy it is to use. It's got one of those red dot finders.
Important.
Yes, we've talked about those. 2 eyepieces, 20 millimeter and 10 millimeter.
And these are good eyepieces from Orion. Those are the Plussels.
All the Plussels, yeah, and they are very, like we've talked about, it's one of our favorites. It's one of my favorite designs. So anyway, look into this, guys. $100, €130. Really nice little telescope for not very much money. And so we highly recommend this one too. Okay.
And you could use it also for better eyepieces with a wider field, with a wider apparent field up to 70 degrees or more.
That's the
rich field,
and that's true of all of our
of the Newtonians.
That's right. All the telescopes we're bringing up now. You can switch out the eyepieces and spend all the money you want on eyepieces. And I don't think there's any of these telescopes that won't accept the eyepieces that you buy. Although you want to be careful about how much you spend, obviously. But where am I going? Okay, here we are. So that is the Newtonian recommendations that we've got. Now we want to move to refractors. Now it's hard to recommend the refractor as your first scope, at least for me, only because they tend to be very expensive. Adam found this one, and this one impresses me a lot. 349 pounds. I'll show you an American equivalent here in just a minute. And it's, I don't know. You want to talk a little bit about refractors, guys? Or, I mean,
use a good mount. You've got a long focal length.
Yeah, it's true. That's really true. This one is more important than the mount's more important than just about any other scope design on these. But, I was looking at this, and John corrected me when we were just before we started, but I thought this thing was a go-to system because of this down here. It said that it's but only the EQ3, EQ5,
EQ5 and EQ6.
EQ5s are what is go-to, right?
Yeah.
And those are way more. Yeah. So if you look here, EQ5 is... I'm sorry, John, what's that?
Yeah, the EQ5 Pro is go-to. The standard EQ5 isn't.
Oh, you're right. So the EQ5 go-to is 850 pounds. That's quite a bit of money. So that's a little bit out of our range for this. But
the EQ5 will be nearly $1,000.
You don't have to buy new.
Well, no, buy second-hand or pre-used.
Yeah. What's the best way to do that in the UK?
So go to a astronomy club.
Yes, exactly.
There's 4 telescopes that I use mostly, and 3 of them have been bought second-hand, or pre-used, if you like, from astronomy clubs.
Yes.
Yeah. Adam, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I was wary of recommending a refractor under $500 because most good refractors cost a lot more money. You can spend an awful lot of money. But this one, for a beginner, it looks pretty good. I like refractors because they bring out the detail in planets and moons and things. You know, you can look at mountains on the moon.
And you don't have to use a laser for culmination.
Oh, right. You don't have to line them up. That's right. The optics, the lenses are mounted.
Very easy to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the 349 is only for the refractor only, without the mount.
Oh no, I think that's the refractor with the cheapest mount.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, it looks like. Let me see what happens when I click on these other. No, it doesn't. It just changes the price. Doesn't change the picture.
You could upgrade it though, couldn't you?
Yeah, you always. That is a good point. The thing about refractors, that, to my mind, the biggest, most important qualities of a refractor are the coatings that go on the lenses and the size of the lenses and what they're made out of. Like fluorite is a really good quartz crystal, or is a really good crystal to make lenses out of, and coat them with magnesium coatings, and you've got a really nice telescope. The problem is you've also got a really expensive telescope. So the quality of the optics is paramount in a refractor, and this size is about the best you're going to do for under $500 or pounds. And what you'll see with it, great views of the moon, great views of the planets.
With the filter.
I'm sorry?
And the sun with the filter.
And the sun. Of course, you'll get great views of the sun with a filter. You don't need aperture for the sun, so you got plenty of photons there. So yeah, really good views of the sun with a proper filter. And what else?
Moon. Craters.
Yep, a lot of detail. Be good spotting scope. You can see the Orion Nebula and the Andromeda Galaxy. Think really bright, deep sky objects with it.
But you could see the Ring Nebula, M57.
M57, that's right. You can see the Ring Nebula with it. It just won't. It'll be very small and very dim. Will be the problem with.
With the focal length, it would be good. It's a small object, so a long focal length for a small object is good.
Yeah, but that also the mount becomes important. Long focal lengths mean narrow fields of view. You don't see much of the sky at one time. You've got to have a real sturdy mount. Otherwise, anybody who sneezes next to you is going to cause the thing to shake. So lots of issues with refractors, but we do recommend this one. Here is the American. Here's the American one that I came the closest to. This is really nice. It's exactly $500. You'll pay more if you get shipping.
Yeah.
It's got
I didn't choose it because I paid pay more, 600 or something, 600 euros.
Yeah. So this is a little out of our range, but it's a nice little refractor. Some of these, like this one, is a wide field. It's got a short focal length, so you might be a little better suited for some of the deeper sky objects.
What's the focal ratio?
Let me look. That's a good question. Let's see. It's got a 1.7 degree field of view. That's really good for one of these things. Let's see. F6.5. So that's pretty wide field.
Okay.
So it's not bad. It's better than like F7 or F8 for some of these refractors. So that's really good. So it's 102 millimeters in diameter, 600 millimeters in focal length. And it comes with some software so that you can play around and make maps and things like that. I don't know. I like these Nexstars. They're pretty nice little units. And then so those are our refractor recommendations. And then finally, and then I'm going to get to questions because there's a bunch. This is an honorable mention, and I'm going to let you guys get to add one too, since I didn't give you a chance. This is an 8-inch Dobsonian telescope, $500 exactly. But what I liked about it was what it came with. It comes with two Plossl eyepieces. It comes with a solar filter, a safety film solar filter that you put over the outside. It comes with a Barlow lens, an eyepiece rack, and everything else. And I really liked this telescope for $500. I don't think you can go wrong with this either. So I like this one quite a bit. And so those are our recommendations. And if you guys have anything you want to add, just go ahead and do that at any time. And
for deep sky, try to use an f4 and f5 ratio. You can also get an f5 ratio with a refractor. I think I suggested one. It would be quite flexible telescope for using it for planets, sun, moon, and also for deep sky objects.
That's right. So, it's with all things. We've talked about this many times. With all of these telescopes, there's always a trade-off. There is no perfect telescope for anything. No. We don't want you to get stuck with a really expensive piece of gear until you're sure you're going to enjoy the hobby. And that's why we're I'm sorry?
Go to star parties and compare.
That's right. And you get a chance to look for free at all these really amazing telescopes. You can decide for yourself if it's worth it for you. But if you've most people don't do that, and we know that they just want, I get asked so many times what telescope they want to buy, or more importantly, I'm thinking of buying this one. Is it a good scope? And so I wanted to have some concrete answers for people. Look, these are all good, and these are gonna do you well for under $500. All of them are easy to use, even the go-tos, although the go-tos are going to kind of cheat you a little bit if you don't know the night sky, because you're going to be able to just type in things and look and see them, which some people think is a problem. I kind of like learning the night sky myself. So those are our recommendations. Let's take a look. Let me take a look at the live chat here. Yurik Mazino is already saying, have you guys been looking at the live chat, by the way?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. So why don't you help me out here? Yurik is going, you can watch the stream live plus chat, Discord. Oh, is that up now? So we've got deepastronomy.space/live, which I think Jake was trying to put up with the Discord chat, and I'm really going to make that an emphasis here in future Hangouts. So if it's working, great. There's the Discord chat. It should be showing up on the screen below us here as well. And Solid Sativa, I'm getting a Meade LS8, only choice for the lazy observer. Those are nice. I like the LX. Is it LX or LS? I guess it must. Do you guys know of LSs? I know about LX.
No,
it might be LX. Anyway, awesome scopes. My first real hardcore go-to scope was an LX 200, and I really liked it. It was a very good scope.
I like Meade telescopes.
Yeah,
I like the Light Bridge.
Yeah, those are my favorite too. Those are the Dobsonians. They tend to be a little bit. You can't get one under 500 though, so we didn't recommend those. But
they're heavy.
Those are exceptionally good, and they break down. They fully collapse, not just partially collapse like the one we showed you. So it'll go all the way. The Discord link. Yeah, Yurik just posted that, so that's up. Ho Muffin. I have I have a 4-inch f10. It handles like CA. Is that California? Really well.
Camacho Caboration.
Okay.
California.
I love Home Up, and I love refractors. They look great, have great images, and they're my outreach system. Yeah, they do. If you're showing the planets especially, they're a great outreach telescope because nothing shows Saturn like a good refractor. So you're right about that. Michael D'Angelo, don't even try to view the sun until you know what you're doing. Absolutely. Good advice.
Yeah.
And John, you've commented, use a Botter solar filter for looking at the sun. Otherwise, you'll lose your eye. Well, you want to talk about that a little bit? What you mean by it? That's a brand, right?
Yes, it's it looks
Germany,
like
Bavaria.
But it's a double mesh mylar, and it reduces the light going through to the telescope by over 99%. Making it then safe for you to use. Now, years ago, you used to be able to buy sun filters, which are just a normal filter, glass, dark blue, that you put over the eyepiece. Even as a kid, I knew that these were dangerous, and I just put a nail through them and put them in the bin. They are not, you don't use them.
Right.
But buy the solar filter, you get an A4 sheet for £20, and you can easily make a holder for it out of cardboard.
Yeah, Yurik wants to know if we have any example pictures produced by these telescopes of commonly viewed stellar objects. No, I mean, not handy, no. I mean, there's plenty of amateurs that do that, but I got to tell you, there's a lot of processing that goes on, right, Alex? After you...
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like what you're really going to see from the eyepiece. It's not representative of your eye. You have a comment on that at all, Alex, since you do a lot of imaging?
Try to use the picture search from Google, add the scope you want to find out something about it, and maybe the object that is photographed, for example, the sun or the moon, and then you might see what you get.
Yeah.
Picture it.
Right, and we might follow up with another hangout on some of this too, for particular telescopes. Just to show what you can see. But to be perfectly honest, in almost all of these scopes, even up to a 10-inch Dobsonian, the Andromeda Galaxy is going to be a smudge. The Orion Galaxy or the Orion Nebula is going to be a green smudge with 4 bright stars in the center. Let's see. The M57, the Ring Nebula, is going to be a really tiny ringed-shaped smudge. So, I mean, I don't want to take away from the wonder of it by saying smudge a lot. These are awesome smudges, but in the end of the day, they are just very faint. What's falling on your retina are very few photons, and so.
You see that?
Yeah, beautiful.
This is a refractor picture. It's an ED refractor. It's a better one with a fluorid glass, but it's a 2-lens design.
The sun.
The sun, yeah. You see the granulation? Oh, that's H alpha. That was something different. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yep, that's very nice. Okay, so so unfortunately, when it comes to pictures, while we could show you plenty, it wouldn't be representative of what it would really look like through an eyepiece. Now, having said about the smudges, when you go to the planets, even with these, if you use a 8-inch Dobsonian with a Barlow lens on it, and say a 24mm Plossl, you're going to get some nice detail. I've seen the red spot of Jupiter, the bands of Jupiter. I've seen plenty of detail on Saturn, and I've seen the Cassini division in the rings. And so there's lots of detail to be seen on the planet side of things, even with the reflectors. Mike, just starting. Trying to decide between a Dobsonian 8 at around 400 or Orion AstroView 90mm refractor at 279. Just want a good beginner scope that I won't outgrow too soon. Get the Dob.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Where do you live, Mike? He doesn't say. Hopefully he'll comment soon. Get the Dob, though. Get the Dobsonian.
Get Dobson for countryside, or for the city you get the refractor.
Yeah.
Aperture is everything. So,
and somebody was... Yeah.
Aperture is Newtonian, or some people mistakenly call them Dobsonians.
They're Dobsonians, man. They're Dobsonians. I don't care what you say. I knew there'd be more than 5 telescopes in this talk. Yes, but Achilles, we've given you our 5 recommendations. Somebody had asked a question about apparent magnitudes. Like what are the limits to how far you can go down? A magnitude, for those of you who don't know, is a measure of brightness. It's actually on a logarithmic scale, and it's very counterintuitive. Very bright things have negative numbers. Very dim things have very large numbers. For example, the Hubble Space Telescope is doing good to see magnitude 25. But
with what exposure time?
800 seconds. So,
okay.
Yeah, so very faint, but it's a logarithmic scale, so everything is 10 times. I believe it's 2.5 times something. The difference in magnitude is 2.5 times the log of the the flux, I think. anyway, it's a very complicated thing, and it's very counterintuitive. Vega, the brightest star in the sky, by standard, is magnitude 0. And it's very bright. It's the brightest star next to Sirius in our sky. And so I think you can, with your naked eye, on a good, dark, clear night, I think you can go down to 6th. Does that sound right, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly about that, yeah.
Yeah, so you can go down to 6th magnitude with a telescope. So you just figure your pupil is how many millimeters in diameter?
7.
How many?
7 millimeter.
Oh,
7.
Well, somebody's done this math, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the math is the lowest magnification you can use for your scope. It's the diameter divided by 7 in millimeter, of course, everything.
Mm-hmm. Right, and so you can kind of do the math from there. If you've got an objective lens that's 100 millimeters, you can figure out what the limiting magnitude is. But again, a lot of other factors are going to be in play, like how crappy your sight is. If you've got a really bad seeing, meaning that the atmosphere is very turbulent, you're not going to go down to as much depth. If there's a lot of light pollution, you're not going to see much. So there's a lot of things that can affect it. I wouldn't let that be the criterion with which you buy a telescope. Would you guys?
I would.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay, so what?
If you can go out, you buy a short focal ratio, for example, an f4 or an f5. If you can't get out, if you've got a balcony somewhere on a skyscraper in New York, maybe you would be better with a refractor.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go, guys. That's good advice. So we unfortunately don't have any pictures. Galaxy is commenting. Alexander is right. This type of things is cheaper in Germany. It's good to buy in Germany. Yeah.
Not at all. If you want to buy Takahashi, you better go to the US.
Really? We get better prices there?
Yes, it's half the price of Germany, yeah.
Oh, okay. Takahashis, by the way, are some of the best refractors you can buy. They make very large aperture, short focal length refractors that are unbelievable. And if you've got the money, they are the way to go. Okay, so let's see. I'm curious because the Nikon Coolpix P90. Okay, are you guys reading anything you want to read out or respond to?
The Andromeda Galaxy, you need a short focal length, f4 and f5 optics, and maybe with the Orion one, the small little one, you could see the whole Andromeda Galaxy in one picture.
Yeah. The Andromeda Galaxy, if you could see the whole thing, spans, I think it's 3 degrees in the sky.
Exactly,
it's about 6 full moons. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really big. You can't see it all. All we can see is the bright center. 8-inch would give great. Yeah, so what is the Discord? I think that's been posted on there. But if you go to deepastronomy.space/live, I think it has also been put up by Jake, so that's good. Okay. Let me go over to Twitch and see if anybody's there. YouTube. Oh, Jambo Bug Hunter was here. YouTube has no pics. Was the stream bad on YouTube, I wonder? I didn't notice. Let me go to Facebook. Okay, Peter Quinn. Looks like a great scope, but out of my price range. Which one was that? Would be perfect for my utility room. Well, it's a laundry, larder, and office admin, but space for a scope. Okay. All right, and I'm not seeing anybody using Teletalk on Twitch. So I don't have anything to put up on my little Twitter thing yet either. Let me look at Discord. Are you guys doing anything on Discord? When looking at these scopes, I'd personally be asking questions like, which one will fit best in my car and is the easiest to carry from a spot to a spot from the parking lot? That's a big thing. I mean, that's a problem with the really big telescopes, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, don't buy a SUV.
Yeah, last week, last hangout, you showed us getting all of your scopes into your smart car, right?
Yeah. Take care of your back if you want to set up something heavy. Buy smaller or buy lighter.
Oh, wait. Hey, Home Muffin's got a a picture of his on Discord. I can't quite get it on there. Hang on, let me see if I can fix this. I want to play with this. I want to see this. So let me go over here to scale this up, and I will move it this way, and I will finish the crop, get rid of the, there we go, and the bottom. All right, let me just show this. I'm going to overwrite you guys for a minute. This is Muffin scope. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Self-made?
It looks like he did it. Yeah, it looks like he made it himself.
Yeah.
That's very nice, guys.
8-inch?
Yeah, what is it, Muffin? Is it an 8-inch? I'm going to Andrew Planet. I'm going to share these videos on how to do astronomy with my local astronomical association. Oh, great. It's thanks to you that I joined them. Thank you, Andrew. Now, you're in Gibraltar, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys have some good skies, I would imagine. Right, Andrew? Have you guys been to Gibraltar?
I have, yeah. Lovely.
Is it nice? Yeah. I've not been
Beautiful
there.
place, yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, hi, Andrew. So, yeah, that's a really nice scope. It's a really good one. That looks like about an 8-inch to me. Make good, but there's nothing to show it for scale, so I don't know for sure. All righty. Well,
we have some questions on the YouTube chat.
All right, go for it.
It's asking about phone attachments, the attachments that you use to take pictures using your phone. Are they any good?
I don't have any experience with it. Do you guys?
No.
They're not bad. They're more reliable than just trying to hold your mobile phone up to the eyepiece. We
had I guess Helen Reed on.
That's right, our first hangout.
Yeah, she uses one of those, and she managed to take some pretty good pictures of Jupiter's moons with it. So yeah, they work fine.
The problem, maybe they're better now. She had an iPhone, I think, but maybe they're better with cell phones these days, or with their low light capabilities. But the general problem with just point and shoot cameras is they're very noisy when you go for long exposures. And by noise, I mean they end up with a lot of thermal noise. They get very grainy. If you look at a certain inexpensive digital cameras and you try to really boost the gain so you can see what it is in a dark room, you'll see all this kind of graininess in there. That's the thermal noise of the CCD chip. And that's hard to overcome with some of these handheld devices, so you need very bright things. And that's why things like the planets and the moon are probably best suited for those. Home Up and says that was an 8-inch f4.
F4.
And somebody from Australia built it.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a nice looking scope, man.
Going back to the holder for the mobile phones, you can get a similar one for compact cameras.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see it very good because I'm in the dark here.
Yeah, it's hard to see. What is that again?
This is for putting a compact camera. The compact camera goes there. This bit goes onto your telescope, and you can adjust it which way but loose to get everything in place.
And how do you like it?
It's not bad. It's not as good as putting a DSLR onto your telescope, but it's better than poking the eye with a sharp stick, as I say.
Okay, Jake wants to know what's the best way to try and overcome light pollution, other than moving out of the city. Move. Yeah. Well, I think he might actually be planning on just that very thing, but I don't know if he'll be going to a place with better dark skies or not. We've talked about them before, but there are filters you can buy that screw on to your eyepieces. They're generally labeled something like, sometimes they're polarizers, sometimes they're called sky glow filters, or what's another word for them?
Light pollution filter?
Yeah, sometimes they're just called light pollution filter. And what they're designed to do is get rid of certain frequencies like sodium vapor lamps. They can be filtered very easily. Mercury vapor lamps can be filtered. And so they just basically get rid of the sky glow that's associated with all of that crap that car dealerships and gas stations and petrol stations throw up into the sky. And you can get better views through your telescope with that. It brings out the contrast a little bit. And they generally run in the U.S. About $40. What do they cost out there?
Well, if I buy a US brand in Germany, I would have to pay for a 2-inch. Let's say a Lumicon, it's about 400 euros, and in the US I pay about $100 or $150. So I buy them in the US and take the customs.
There you go. Yeah, so home up and getting off the street level helps a lot. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about observing from a balcony on like a high-rise building? Have you guys ever done that? I've had bad experiences with that. It looks like the whole building seems to be vibrating underneath the balcony that I'm on. Have you guys experienced that, or have you ever done it?
Yeah, I've never tried it.
Yeah,
actually I do.
And what's your experience been?
Fine. I got a stable balcony, so I set up my scopes on my balcony for photographing, and if I go observing, I go out with my Dobsonian. And it really depends on the design of the balcony you live on, or you try to set up your scope.
You don't isolate the balcony from the main house, meaning it's physically attached to the side?
It's attached, to the base.
Okay.
So it's good.
Okay. Sometimes what observatories will do is they will pour the concrete pier for their telescope, and then they'll build the whole observatory around it, but it's isolated from the pier. The floor that you stand on in the observatory isn't touching the pier to kind of help with vibration. But I found when I'm on these balconies that anybody walking around, or anybody even in the apartment walking around, is causing the image to jiggle around quite a bit. So would a stargazing club perhaps rent out a high place on weekend nights? Never heard of that.
A lot of astronomy clubs will have somewhere to meet up at, a dark site.
Yeah, there's some usually, but in the UK especially, there's a lot of cool places to go. You need to go to Kielder. Kielder's awesome. Yeah. That's a really great. I mean, it's probably too far from you guys. Pretty big drive, but that's a beautiful spot to go. And there's lots of countryside in the UK that you can go. What are how are people with that? If you're like driving down a country road and you just set up your scope, is that a problem, or do people not mind? Have you ever tried it?
Personally, I'd make sure there's a few of you going for safety.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I don't think they rent them out. Most stargazing clubs have star parties on a regular basis. You just go. That's the case here in Central Florida. They meet and we go, and you can observe all kinds of telescopes. In fact, it's starting to become star party season down here. Summertime in Central Florida is terrible. The atmosphere is too cloudy, and too much moisture, and the seeing is terrible. So,
how is fall and springtime in Florida?
It's not great either. We start to get rainy right around March or April, so we get a lot of afternoon thunderstorms that just ruin the night seeing. But the wintertime is pretty stable, so it's really the best. Could you put the feet of the telescope on top of sandbags to help dampen the vibration? Yes, that's a good idea, Sizer. That would help. Michael D'Angelo, our association.
Towel.
Huh?
A beach towel.
Does that work?
Helps with vibrate. Yeah, helps with the cuts out vibration, and if you drop your eyepieces, it stops them from breaking.
Michael D'Angelo is raising a good point. Our association worked with them to put light pollution laws into place. Yeah, if you can get involved in your community, you want to encourage your community to buy these things called full cutoff light fixtures. And that is where the light is directed down on the ground where you want it and not up into the sky. Some light fixtures, if you look at them, they're just shining light all over the place. And so that's a very good idea to get involved and get, one of the best light pollution-friendly places I've ever been in the United States was Alamogordo, New Mexico, and that's because they have Apache Point in the Sacramento Mountains, right behind the city, and the entire town is got sodium vapor lamps. It is bright orange in the middle of the night in Alamogordo, but you can filter all of that light out, and the skies are dark. That's exactly the point. Yeah. So
you can filter out LED lights, for example. They shine all over the wavelength of the visible wavelength. And so you can't filter LEDs out anymore. So try not to use LED lights at night.
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that. That's been a pretty new...
in England, they're becoming more popular now.
Well, yeah, because they're so energy efficient. And so
they're efficient and take the brightest ones in public. And that's terrible for the light pollution.
Yep.
Not only for astronomers, also for nature, for animals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's right. Especially around in Florida, the turtles, especially when they hatch on the beach, they get confused by all the bright lights and they start heading toward the city instead of out to sea, where the moon is generally guiding them to get to the ocean. And so it's a big deal. In fact, Daytona Beach turns off all of their lights near. There's no street lights near the beach to protect the turtles. So that's a good example of how that affects it. Galaxy is commenting, and I'm going to leave it with this. We could have a star party when we're in Florida with a group in 2018. That's right. I think some people are coming down for the test launch in 2018, and I'm going to be holding some kind of gathering for that when it happens. So, yeah, we should have a star party right then. I'll talk. So that's a good idea. We'll do that. I think it's launching. When is it launching? It's sometime around June of 2018, last I heard. So that's it. All right, guys. Any final comments? We're a little bit over time. 4:03. Any final comments?
Don't buy from a department store. Always go to a proper astronomy seller.
Yeah, the online retailers that we've given you links to. We're about as independent as we could get, although telescopes.com is pretty big in the United States. But there are local, usually they're camera stores here in the U.S., but they will sell telescopes as well. Like there'll be a Celestron dealer or a Meade dealer or something like that. So, yeah, always support local when you can. Any other comments, guys?
Switch off the light.
Turn off your lights. That's right. Everybody, don't. If you've got a night light outside, turn it off when you're not using it, and it would help go a long way to making all of our night skies better. I told you my story, right, guys? When the hurricane hit back in September, and we had no power. In fact, all of basically, half of Florida was without power. And the one good thing about it was when I went outside, except for the din of generators that I heard, I could see the Milky Way brighter than I'd ever seen it. So it was, and since I had been in Colorado and looking up high in the Rocky Mountains, so that was great. So yes, definitely turn off your lights if you can, when you can. So. Okay, guys. Well, I guess that's it. Week after next, we're going to talk about Christmas gifts. It's coming up on Christmas time. We're going to talk about our favorite things we'd like to get for Christmas and to give you some ideas if you're thinking of buying some gifts for somebody who on your Christmas list who might like astronomy. So we'll talk about that next time. That'll be in 2 weeks on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I've got the ExoLife Hangout, and then there'll be this one following that. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you. Thanks for taking time out to share your experience with us. I appreciate it, guys. Alex, John, and Adam, thank you so much for taking time to be on our Hangout. And I want to thank all of you for watching. As always, keep looking up.